Flashpoint Gaza Season 2, Episode 14. Book 1, The Gaza-Israel Conflict. A historical and religious perspective. The land between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River has been a crucible of conflict for over a century, with the current Gaza-Israel war representing the latest chapter in a long and complex narrative of violence, displacement, and failed peace attempts. This sacred land, cherished by three major world religions, continues to be the center of one of the world's most intractable conflicts. The Gaza-Israel war that erupted on October 7, 2023, marked a devastating escalation in the long-standing conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. On that fateful morning, Hamas launched a surprise attack against Israel that would become the deadliest day in Israel's history since its establishment. The attack, coordinated by land, sea, and air, resulted in the deaths of over 200 Israelis and the taking of more than 240 hostages. This assault triggered an immediate and massive response from Israel, leading to a sustained military campaign that has transformed Gaza and resulted in unprecedented casualties and destruction. Hamas rocket fired from Gaza picture. The roots of this conflict stretch back to the early 20th century when the Zionist movement, led by Theodor Herzl, emerged with the goal of establishing a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This movement was driven by widespread anti-Semitism in Europe and the deep historical connection of the Jewish people to the land. The British government's issuance of the Balfour Declaration in 1917, which supported the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, set the stage for the competing national claims that would define the region's future. The period of the British Mandate, 1920-1947, saw escalating tensions between Jewish and Arab communities, manifesting in several violent incidents, including the 1929 Hebron Massacre and the 1936-1939 Arab Revolt. These events foreshadowed the larger conflicts to come. The United Nations adoption of Resolution 181 in 1947, which proposed the partition of Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, became a pivotal moment. While the Jewish leadership accepted the plan, Arab leaders rejected it, leading to the First Arab-Israeli War following Israel's declaration of independence in 1948. Destruction in Rafah picture. The subsequent decades saw a series of major conflicts that reshaped the region's boundaries and power dynamics. The 1967 Six-Day War resulted in Israel's capture of the Sinai Peninsula, Gaza Strip, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Golan Heights, significantly altering the geopolitical landscape. The 1973 Yom Kippur War, while ending in a military stalemate, eventually led to the first peace agreement between Israel and an Arab state, with the 1979 Camp David Accords with Egypt. The Palestinian resistance movement has evolved significantly over the years, with various groups emerging to represent Palestinian interests and aspirations. The Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, led by Yasser Arafat, was established as the primary representative of the Palestinian people. However, the landscape of Palestinian politics became more complex with the rise of Hamas in the late 1980s. Hamas, an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, combined militant resistance with social services, gaining significant support among Palestinians, particularly in Gaza. Hamas anniversary picture. The religious dimension of the conflict adds another layer of complexity. For Judaism, the land represents the fulfillment of divine promise, with Jerusalem holding particular significance as the site of the ancient temples. Christians view the land through the lens of Jesus' life and ministry, with Jerusalem being central to their faith as the site of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. For Muslims, Jerusalem's significance is tied to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Prophet Muhammad's night journey, making it the third holiest site in Islam. These competing religious claims have often been used to justify political positions and actions. The concept of divine right to the land has influenced both Israeli and Palestinian narratives, with religious texts and prophecies being interpreted to support various claims and positions. The intertwining of religious and political aspirations has made finding common ground particularly challenging. Attempts at peace have been numerous, but ultimately unsuccessful. The Oslo Accords of 1993 appeared to offer hope for a resolution, establishing a framework for Palestinian self-governance and mutual recognition between Israel and the PLO. However, the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and subsequent political developments undermined the process. The Camp David Summit in 2000 and later peace initiatives similarly failed to address core issues such as the status of Jerusalem, Palestinian refugees, right of return, and border demarcation. Hamas military exercise picture. The current Gaza-Israel war has brought unprecedented levels of destruction and suffering. The Israeli military response to Hamas's October 7th attack has resulted in extensive damage to Gaza's infrastructure and a severe humanitarian crisis. The conflict has led to tens of thousands of Palestinian casualties and the displacement of a majority of Gaza's population. International efforts to broker lasting ceasefires have been complicated by various factors, including the hostage situation and the broader regional dynamics involving Iran and other actors. The international community's role in the conflict has been significant, but often problematic. The United States, as Israel's primary ally, has provided substantial military and diplomatic support while attempting to mediate peace efforts. Other international actors, including the United Nations, European Union, and various Arab states, have also been involved in peace initiatives and humanitarian assistance. However, competing international interests and the perception of bias in mediation efforts have often hindered progress toward resolution. Weapons found in mosque picture. The persistence of this conflict raises fundamental questions about the possibility of peace in a region where historical grievances, religious convictions, and political aspirations seem irreconcilable. The failure of numerous peace initiatives suggests that traditional diplomatic approaches may be insufficient to address the deep-seated issues at the heart of the conflict. The cycle of violence, retribution, and failed negotiations continues to perpetuate suffering on both sides. As we look to the future, the prospects for peace remain uncertain. The current war has further deepened mistrust and hatred between the communities, making reconciliation even more challenging. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the security concerns of Israel, and the aspirations of the Palestinian people for self-determination all require urgent attention. However, finding a solution that addresses these various needs while satisfying the minimum requirements of all parties involved remains elusive. The story of wars and rumors of wars in this sacred land continues to unfold, with each new chapter adding layers of complexity to an already intricate narrative. The interplay of religious beliefs, historical claims, and modern political realities creates a unique challenge that has thus far defied resolution. As this first volume concludes, the search for peace continues, even as the shadows of conflict persist.